Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.
Welcome to Healing Outside the Box. I'm Rosemary Lachance, an energy healer and spiritual therapist.
And I'm Lisa Burton, a heart-centered lifestyle coach.
And we are co-hosts for this thought-provoking series and are dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their fields. If you know of any subjects that you would like us to discuss, or if you know of anyone who you think would make an interesting guest for our show, please let us know. Please also like us on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box, where you can learn about and see pictures of some of our past guests and ask questions or leave a comment. Enjoy the show.
Wonderful. Well, tonight we're very excited to have Andrea Anderson here with us. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Can't reach you, but
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah, thank you.
Tonight is our 115th show, Lisa.
Yes, that's
115.
wonderful. Yeah.
Woohoo!
And tonight, the title of our show is How to Heal Your Child of A.D.H.D. and Autism Naturally. So this is a subject that's dear to my heart. I have worked many, many years with the autistic population and cannot wait to hear what Andrea has done. Andrea is a coach, a speaker, and a writer, and she has helped heal her two sons of autism using natural and holistic methods. And she is also a recent author of a book called I Healed My Sons of Autism and You Can Too. So we're hoping that she'll give us lots of tips tonight and empower parents to take that journey with her. So we know a little bit about you being a coach, a speaker, and a writer. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So I have a website, my business. I'm basically the owner and the founder of IHealedMySons.com. And beyond that, as you mentioned, I basically have stepped into the coaching role based on a lot of past experience I have, 8+ years experience, initially healing my sons of autism. It's that hands-on, in the thick of things experience, combined with my previous coaching experience, and also my holistic nutrition knowledge. I took that and I have stepped into the realm of helping families do something that a lot of people haven't believed has been possible, and that is clear children of ADHD and autism. What I've done is I basically, through my book as well as coaching support, show families the exact steps that I've taken to clear my sons of autism and really help them bring that into their children's lives, not only just to help clear them of their symptoms, but really to help them have each day and moving forward each day get better and better and eventually be that much easier and have their children thriving. So that's what that looks like. And typically when I work with people, it's via the phone or Skyping, so that I have individuals that I work with that are closer to home in terms of where I live, but then also throughout the U.S. And it goes beyond. So it's really open to that. And I do group coaching formats as well, and I do a lot of teleseminars and things of that nature. So that's what that looks like. That's the who I am from a professional standpoint. I'd love to share just a little bit in terms of who I am from a personal standpoint.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind. Thank you.
Sure.
So basically, I'm a wife and a mom, and thanks to my sons, I'm a really strong, courageous woman. And my sons, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. My life is wonderful now, but it wasn't always this way. My husband and I, years ago, pre-kids, had a great time. We did whatever we wanted. We drank whatever we wanted. We ate whatever we wanted. We lived pretty mainstream. And then we had our sons. And our sons were born typical, just regular, typical, normal boys, and then they were affected by various toxins. So things from pesticides to unfiltered drinking water, tap water, to some other sources of toxins.
At what age did you start to notice some of the effects of the toxins?
Well, it was clearer with my youngest son. It was very clear for him. It was 7 months old.
Wow.
And with my older son, it wasn't as clear. He was our first son, and so there was a lot of confusion there. What happened was, so both of our sons were born typical, and then what happened was, at around 7 months old, Burton, our youngest son, started showing signs of being autistic. He started to shake his head rapidly, roll his eyeballs to the back of his head. Every time he did that, what would happen is he basically, I felt like I was going to throw up, first of all, and then beyond that, I felt like I started to notice that he wouldn't respond to us calling his name. And I remember one particular day in the bathroom with him, he was, I called his name about 41 times, and he never even so much as turned to look at me.
Wow.
And then he also lost all his motor coordination, all around the 7-month mark. So as a result, I started to wonder, okay, there is something going on here. And with my older son, he was never affected from the standpoint of, being physically affected and his motor coordination being affected. It was more so that he was affected emotionally. So he would experience and share with us giant outbursts, like mood would be okay, and then whoosh, would be hugely off. And we're talking hitting, screaming, yelling. And so I remember play dates were always one of those things where I was afraid sometimes to join play dates because I never knew how they'd turn out.
Right.
Sometimes okay, sometimes I'd leave crying going, what do I do? I'm so sorry.
And this was a preschooler-ish
Yeah, this was, yep, exactly.
Okay.
So it really wasn't until Burton came along that I put 2 and 2 together.
Right.
And at that point I realized, okay, my sons are on the spectrum. And with that thought in mind, it was, okay, let's begin this healing journey. And that's when my husband and I really started to make giant shifts in our lifestyle. This is when we first saw our very first holistic doctor, wonderful woman, and what she did was she helped introduce us to all sorts of different things. One of those pieces was we began to eat differently. We started to eat organic, all-natural foods. We shifted the cleaning products we used in our home from, typical household cleaners. We shifted into all-natural cleaners. We started to see holistic doctors on a consistent basis.
Do you mean naturopathic doctors? Or
A variety. There's a
Okay.
variety. From initially it was a different sort of holistic doctor, and then we headed in the direction of naturopathic physicians.
What made you go to holistic instead of the method that most people do, regular doctors and the regular means? What made you turn to that?
I turned in that direction because I had a sense, number one, that was the direction to go in. Number two, I believed that I was going to heal my sons, and I wasn't hearing that in the other area. And in this other holistic approach, I was sensing that it could be done, and I was hearing that it was possible. So I kept forging
Hearing
forward.
it inside of you, like in your mind, hearing it, knowing it, or
Yeah, well, I heard it in my mind, but it was more of a sense in my gut.
that's what I mean.
My
yeah.
intuition,
coming
yeah,
from yourself,
was
yeah.
saying, do this. This is your next step. And that's what we did. And so I even so much as went back to school in New York City and became certified in health coaching and holistic nutrition. The goal was to help do everything I could to make sure that my kids healed, and that we also heal as a family, because a lot goes on behind closed doors when you have two sons on the spectrum, right? So it was, okay, we deserve to live a higher quality life. What can I do to help my sons? What can I do to make sure this happens for us? So that's sort of, who I am. from a personal standpoint. And the idea for me to share with you guys, to share with anybody who chooses to listen and watch this and beyond, it's a matter of this is an option for them. It isn't exclusive to me that I healed my sons.
Right. Oh, yeah.
This is something that is possible for everybody. And I think it's important for people to know that there is a strong possibility that they can achieve the same thing or something similar for their kids, at least help them improve vastly from what they're experiencing right now with any of their autism spectrum disorder symptoms. And to know that, yes, this is for you. This can be for all of us. And to let people see, here are some of the keys that I've followed so that you can, if you choose to mirror some of this, move forward and make a difference.
Right. Now, refer to a title of your book.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense when that's going to be available to
Yep,
folks?
it'll be available this February.
Oh, great.
February 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for
Yep,
that.
absolutely.
And at the end of the show, we will list all your contact information so people can either phone or email you or
Okay.
keep in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
You have a belief in the autism spectrum disorder that stems from the empty cup theory.
Yeah.
Can you explain that or share this theory?
Yeah, sure. So the empty cup theory, what this is the idea that we're all born as empty cups. Okay, so when you think of your body, when you're born, your children's bodies, for the most part, everybody's bodies, their cups are empty. We're clean and clear. Okay. Then over time, as people, and we'll speak in terms of our children right now, as they're exposed to various toxins in the world, what happens is their cup then begins to fill up. So when I say toxins, I'm referring to things like heavy metals, unnatural substances, chemicals that are difficult for the body to rid itself of. So to be more specific, I mean, things like pesticides that somebody might spray on their lawn.
Right.
Or it could be insecticides that somebody uses to, kill off insects. It could also be if somebody is remodeling or painting their house or just using regular products that aren't all natural. Things like even paints can emit gases called VOCs, volatile organic compounds.
Right.
So if you don't have a low or no VOC paint, unbeknownst to you, if you didn't have that awareness, your children, your family, you're all breathing in some of those toxins. It can also be through food. Right? So food, if your children are consistently eating foods that have chemicals like artificial flavors and preservatives, also that's a source. Vaccinations.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about vaccinations.
Yes. Yep.
What's your theory on that?
Vaccinations are included in there, for sure. Absolutely. That is definitely something that we noticed had an impact on our children. So the list goes on. It can be dental work, mercury, fillings, all of those things. So these are some of the places that toxins can reside. And then, so what happens, getting back to the empty cup theory, is that as your child is exposed to these toxins in various ways, and I want to add for people to recognize that, try not to feel guilty about this. I myself had no clue and exposed to my kids to just about all of those, minus the fillings that I just mentioned. I didn't know.
No.
A lot of times we just don't know.
Right.
No.
So it's a matter of not where I was and what I did, but more so, here's where you're at. Here's where you're at, and what can you do going forward?
Right.
And so now there's more awareness around that, and that's okay. So anyway, so if you have a child who's exposed to these different toxins and their cup is filling up, what happens is eventually they're going to get to a point where their cup fills up and then spills over. And when their cup spills over, this is when a variety of symptoms will show themselves. So for one person, it might be behavior challenges. It might be a neurological disorder. For somebody else, it might be emotional imbalances. It might be all the above. Actually, any illness can stem from the
Toxins.
filling of the cup and spilling over, right?
Right.
So a lot of times I'll have the question posed to me, well, what about the fact that some people seem to be able to be exposed to these toxins and do A-okay, and other people no. And why is that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so what that is that really we're all being affected by those toxins. It's just that we have something in our system called a chelation system. It's the way that our body naturally chelates, naturally gets rid of toxins from our system. So when you look at children on the spectrum, they basically have a genetic predisposition to have difficulty naturally chelating. So they have this gene, this predisposition to have difficulty naturally chelating. They're then exposed to these toxins, so their cup fills up at a faster rate than other people's cups. Exactly. So they're going to end up manifesting ADD, ADHD, autism, or something else in between because of the fact that their system couldn't keep up and really expel these toxins. Somebody else like you or I, or somebody else whose system can more easily expel these toxins, has a better chance of getting rid of them. But if we expose ourselves on a consistent basis to, a range of the toxins that I mentioned to you, our cup is still going to fill up because it just can't, our chelation system can't keep up, and eventually that cup fills up and will spill over. What does that look like? It could be something like ADD, ADHD, or it could be some other illness for people, which we don't even need to get into, but you get the point, right? So that's basically the empty cup theory. But I want to add that there's really good news about this because the condition is reversible. We can actually empty the cups out. And that's exactly what I did with my sons. As I took steps to clear their cup, I saw each time their cup was cleaned out a little more and a little more and a little more, improvements in their symptoms. And eventually, look at that. They're doing great. Actually, they're healed because we cleaned out the cup. And that is, in my book, what I focus on are the 7 keys to clearing your child of ADHD and autism naturally. And it's these keys that help. They're basically the steps that you take to clear that cup.
I see.
Yeah.
People will say, like, when my children were young and everything, they didn't have these diseases. They didn't talk about it as much or know, but I'm sure there wasn't as much as there is now going on. But my answer to them would be, the air wasn't as polluted then. There wasn't so much more going on in the factories and the pollution and the planes and the things that were happening. And so it took longer. They were able to grow up before this happened, right? So that's the thing. It's the world we live in right now.
I was going to say that, the world that we live in now.
The world we live in now.
We've poisoned ourselves.
There is a lot more going on. The great piece is that there's conversations like this taking place. There's a lot of places on the internet for resources. If we think in terms of living more naturally, doing things more naturally, the way things just naturally were done and the way we're meant to be living, then that's where we take our cue from. If it's more natural, follow it. And, back when you're talking about, things are much more natural. With a sprinkling of other things that were maybe a little bit toxic. But the body could do its job because it wasn't overwrought with so much.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I know that a lot of times the kids on the spectrum are self-selective eaters, and they tend to be very picky about what they are willing to eat. So how, what tricks do you have to help them broaden the variety of foods that they eat and to eat the all-natural things and not the processed chips and crunchies that they all love?
Yeah. Well, there's a few things here wrapped up in this question. The first piece is that it's not that they can't have any process, because that would be a major change in diet that they would rebel against, and you probably wouldn't get much acceptance at all. So the idea is, okay, so processed food's going to be in there. Let's just make it higher quality and cleaner, meaning just better, more all-natural food. So there are better chips, and there are better crackers, and there are, do you know what I mean? If it's real and it's all natural and it has fewer ingredients in it, it's going to be better for them. And if you start to get in some more whole foods, real foods, vegetables and fruits and Organic preferably, because organic has up to 75% more nutrients in it to offer the body. And the more nutrients there are, the more value it's going to give to their body. And it's also going to help the repair and healing process for them. And whole foods also help to clean that cup out, help to clear that cup, which is the goal, right? We want to get back to that empty cup or pretty close to it. So back to your question about tricks. So, you know, there are some things that you're hoping to get your kids to eat that are more natural. And there's different ways. There's a combination when I work with parents. It's as we start to clear children's cups out through other means that we're doing, a lot of times there becomes more openness and a little bit more acceptance of trying new things. So we kind of help to get their mindset in a different place just through helping them physically with some other things. And then that helps. But there are things you can do, like if you want your child to start to eat brown rice instead of white rice, because brown rice has the nutrients, a lot of nutrients in it to offer your child. Well, you can take white rice and mix it with brown rice, do 50-50 and make it. And now it's not looking so brown when they look at it, right? And it's mixed with the right, so it becomes that much more palatable. And then you can take a tomato sauce or whatever sauce that they might put on a pasta and put it on there, so it's basically drenched in that flavor. And that's a way to kind of ease in that direction of getting more of the good stuff in there.
Right, exactly.
That's very good.
Yeah, yeah.
I might try that.
So, yeah, good.
Get that brown rice down.
I like it.
Are there foods that support clearing the ASD?
Yeah, there are, and I started to mention some of them. There's a lot of different foods, but if you think in terms of the more natural and real the foods are, then you're going to start to have a bigger impact on clearing their cup, on clearing the ASDs, as you mentioned. So just to reiterate, that would be things like fruits and vegetables. So things that you pick from the ground and pick from trees. You know, you want to be able to go to your farmer's market or your own garden, or, you know, if necessary, to the grocery store to get what you need.
It should be organic, though, you say,
If
right?
you can go with organic, then go with that as much as possible, because there is higher value in terms of nutrients in the organic. They've done studies and they've shown that up to 75% more nutrients reside in the organic foods. So that's more value. You're basically getting more for your money, but more importantly, you're giving more value to your child's body. And the whole goal is to clear their symptoms. So they need the whole foods to clean their cup and to repair their systems. When it comes to processed foods, as we started to touch on before, it's not that I would say no to those. No, it's part of life. But really, I ask people to flip the product over and read the label. And I don't mean the fat content and the sodium content. What I actually mean is to take a look at the quality of the ingredients. That's it, just the quality of the ingredients. So when you read the ingredients of that food, does that food have things that you know what they are? So there is apple, cinnamon, water in there, and yada yada. Or is it a whole bunch of chemical sounding, foreign sounding names? And is it a long list? If it's a long list of foods, it's harder
really
for your
long.
child's body to digest. If there's a lot of chemicals in it, it could actually exacerbate their autism spectrum disorder symptoms. So you want to steer away from that, right? So
That's a very easy,
cleaner and more basic,
very easy thing to keep in mind.
yeah, yep. So good.
I should have wrote down, there was something I was going to ask on that. There, and people can go online. There is a list of the different fruits and vegetables that are more prone to soak in the chemical, like strawberries. They really soak in the chemicals. The skin is so thin skin things, right? Those you really should eat organic or not at all, right? Things that are very thin-skinned, where like an avocado, banana, it's
peel
thick,
it,
right? And you take that off, right? Am I right?
Yeah, yep,
Those are-
absolutely.
and
If you
people
can
can find
peel
that
the
out,
skin,
yeah.
if you can peel the skin, then
Right.
you're getting rid of some of those pesticides
Right.
and so forth. So that does help. So yeah.
Berries, unfortunately, don't have much protection.
Right.
So they get more of that. So best to buy organic, right?
Right, whenever you can, organic
Right.
or locally grown. When it's warm
Right.
out and you can purchase something in your area, that's also still tends to have fewer pesticides. Even if it isn't organic, it's locally grown, so it's just higher quality. And it also has more enzymes and nutrients to offer somebody's body because it took a short time to go from the ground to somebody's plate. So it's more alive.
Right,
It has more to offer, which is more cleansing and more fortifying. Again, helping those symptoms dissipate, level out, and eventually, hopefully, disappear.
Wonderful.
We're used to having what we want in the fruits and vegetables all year long, right? And that's where they come from far away, and just what you said, they kind of die on the way over because they're in storage for so long.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We have to be more disciplined with that, you know, and not do it.
Make a
Right.
healthy choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But some is better than none, right?
Right.
If it's, just that you can get at the grocery store that came from far away versus, something else that's not a fruit or vegetable, then at least it's a fruit or vegetable.
What about if it's frozen?
Yeah. Same thing.
canned?
There's a hierarchy of, freshly picked from your garden organic, right? That's up there. That is the number one. And then you move down into frozen. Frozen is still good. It's still a vegetable and it's organic. So that's a great thing too. But again, fresh is the best. This is a wonderful replacement if that's the
right.
only option.
The only option, if you want to
Or
have that.
if
you're
that's an option for you, yeah.
right. Right.
Yep. Yeah.
So in your book, you talk about there's 7 keys to clearing your child of ADHD and autism.
Yeah.
And your restore key are rewrite your reality.
Yeah.
That sounds really intriguing. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Restore Key R, rewrite your reality. What this is number one, it's the starting place for healing your children from autism or any autism spectrum disorder. What this is when you think about it, if you want to make a change in your children's life, you have to get clear. You have to decide that this can happen. And you have to decide that the reality that you're in the midst of is not the reality that you want any longer. And you have to start to believe that you can have another reality, that your children can live a different reality from perhaps what you're seeing right there in front of you. So one thing that I point out to people is when I first learned and sensed really that my sons had autism, I got really clear that I wanted them to heal and that I was going to make sure that they healed. I decided. So the key word here is to decide. We can't do anything if we don't get clear and make a decision. So the deciding piece has to come about. And I have to tell you, the same holds true for your kids. If you decide that they're going to heal and you want them to heal, then that's what's going to happen. That's exactly how it played out for me. And I know it can become the same thing for somebody else. Do you know that quote by Henry Ford? If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't.
Right.
Well, that's exactly what's happening here. If somebody thinks that they can, they're going to be able to move in that direction and make it happen. Okay? There's also something else at work here, and it's universal law of the universe, as well as metaphysics. And for those, if you guys are familiar or any of the viewers are familiar, basically this is the idea that we're all made up of energy. Everything is made up of energy. This chair I'm sitting on is made up of energy. You're both made of energy. Everything is made of energy. And like energy attracts like energy, okay? So our thoughts are made up of energy, okay? So like thoughts attract like circumstances in your life, all right? So if you think that you can heal your children or your child from an A.D.H.D, from A.D.H.D all the way through autism, if you think you can, then that is exactly what you will help to bring about in your life. Okay? So what I tell people, in order to get into this space of rewriting your reality, as this key is that you mentioned, what you want to do is you want to find some space in your home and get really comfortable. Sit back, relax, and close your eyes and start to imagine what life would look like with your child doing really well, feeling calm and comfortable, okay? And you want to imagine your days, your nights. You want to really get into the space of seeing what it's like having them feel really good, Okay? So once you get into this space, you then want to open your eyes and you want to write exactly what that reality was like, what that was like for your child as you saw them feeling good, acting their best, all of these things. You write it out. Once you write it out, you take what you've written and you post it somewhere. That is your new reality. That is what you want for your child. That is what you're moving toward. You then take time, about at least 5 minutes a day. By the way, you want to post this somewhere where you're going to see it every day. You want to stop. You want to make just 5 minutes. Put it on your calendar. Here's my 5 minutes to get into the space of my new reality, my child's new reality. You read it. You imagine it. You play with it for a little while. For 5 minutes, you just get back into that space, and then you set it aside and you move about your day. You do that every day for as long as it takes. Once you start to get those feelings, even if it's just a small percentage of you that starts to feel that this can be, those feelings start to grow. And once you have the feelings that it's possible, and you have made the decision that this is what's happening, that your child, your children are going to clear from their symptoms, it is amazing what you will start to attract in your life. You will attract a life where your children are healed, are healing from their ASDs. Yeah, that's rewriting your reality. Step 1.
That's great. That's great to know,
Yeah.
because people can use that with anything. And any kind of afflictions, with themselves, anything.
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that I know it's in the book, but is that something that you would coach a family through as well?
Absolutely.
Because I could see some people saying, yeah, that sounds too easy. Really?
Or I don't know how to really do this, or something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
So-
It sounds easy, but once you put yourself in a situation where your child is acting and being like nothing like you want your reality to be, it can be hard to put yourself in that place. So you do this and you do this consistently, and what it does is it starts to shift your thinking and your beliefs. Like you go from the thought of, oh, there's no way this can happen, to, okay, maybe this can happen. Yeah, I think it can. Yeah, I think it can happen. Okay, it's going to happen. And when you shift into that space of, okay, it's going to happen, you watch as all the choices you make start to align with exactly what your child needs, right? Because we're not just going to sit back and rewrite reality and not do any of the other key steps. That's the starting place. And then we take action in these other ways to bring it all together. But yeah, this is something I coach people on to get started. Yeah.
That's a good thing. And people get discouraged. It doesn't happen fast enough. Just tell them not to get discouraged, right? It takes time, and that's where you come in, where they can talk to you, and you can coach them and say, don't. Or they could even start some kind of support group, right?
Sure.
That might be a good thing, too.
Yeah, yep.
That would be really good.
Yeah,
that they
whatever
could do
it
that when they
takes
need.
to
Yeah.
help them move forward. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be good. They can call each
Yeah.
other up, more often than they can come and see you, and really do that. And you
Yeah.
give them all those tools. This is great. Really, really great. Yeah.
All right, can we tackle another restore key?
Sure.
This one is Key T, which is thrive in all natural, balanced environments. And how does TV and video games impact our kids?
I heard a little sigh over there. Yeah. Yeah, so it's so here's the thing. What I've learned the hard way with my family is that less is more when it comes to TV and video games.
That's a favorite saying around my house.
Less is more. And so the funny thing is, well, really, we have boundaries. We have limits for our sons with how much television they can watch and the video games that they can watch. And without getting into our family rules, I'll just let you know that there's these boundaries. And there have been times when we have exceeded those boundaries as a family. Like this past summer when the Olympics were taking place. Yeah, they watched more television than they typically would. And when I turned off that television, you would have thought that their brains whoosh, just went numb. Because they had a hard time using their imaginations. They had a hard time doing anything else. Like they were looking for activities, and it was like they couldn't figure out what to do with themselves. And my youngest son, I watched him start to bounce off the walls, and he started, yelling out and making unusual noises, and he was really hyper. So it was really apparent to me, look at what happens here.
Wow.
And what I've noticed is, while television, video games can be fun for the kids, they really can exacerbate their A.S.D. symptoms. One thing I've also noticed is when my sons get outside more, when children get outside more, and move their bodies as opposed to being in front of television, it's very balancing, really, really balancing. My sons are just calmer and happier, period, when they spend little to zero time in front of television and video games, period. That's just the way it is. My sons have a mutual friend, and when they go over to his house, they always come back from this particular friend's house super calm, so happy, and I know it's because with this particular friend, they spend at least 90% of their time outside no matter what the weather is. Rain, snow, you name it, unless of course it's a really, really big storm. They're outside. So when they come back to my house, I'm like, woo, boo, this is great. They're in the best place ever. And it was simply that they spent a lot of time outside. So it's very balancing.
You know, you just, how can I say, you just gave me the idea, the realization. When I do spiritual psychotherapy, I've come across quite a few people who don't have an imagination. You know, I take them on these journeys to use your imagination, and they just can't. And that's the reason. I know when I was a child, all we did was stay outside and play. And we couldn't watch TV. We never watched TV during the day at all, right? And I remember always saying, let's pretend this, let's pretend. We make up games, almost like you make up a movie to play.
Yeah.
Whatever they were, games, or even we did a play like Mother and Father and Children scene, or Cowboys and Indians. But we used our minds, you're right, use the imagination, stayed outside. If I had to stay in, it was the greatest punishment they could ever do to me. So now I understand why some people are like this, that they just, with the TV and the video games and the computers and the cell phones and the things here where you can get everything you want and the things in your ears and the music, there's never any quiet in the head, right?
Right.
So it's so great that you're a parent like that knows that, can now share that with that, so the new generation can be like that again.
Yeah.
This is great. This is really great.
Yeah, thank you. It's a matter of, it is such a media-rich time that we live in, and there's a lot of perks, a lot of pluses to all this, but it's a matter of figuring out the balance for ourselves, but especially right now also for our kids. If we just do what everybody else is doing, we're going to get the same results that everybody else is getting, and we don't want status quo. We want well beyond. So that means thinking differently and doing things differently, right?
Yeah, can I ask, I know, families that I've worked with in the past, a lot of times they'll say, well, the children need downtime and the TV's relaxing for them. They've had therapy, all day, and they like to do the video games, or they like to just relax with the TV. And I would, cringe a little bit when I'd hear that. I understand a parent saying that. So do you have ideas, like simple ideas that a parent could use as substitutes for downtime, relaxation, but not a screen, not a video screen, not a computer screen or a TV screen? What could a parent do that's easy?
Right. For your child to do this on their own, to take downtime on their own,
either
or with
way,
others?
Or something you could set them up with, or something you would engage them with?
Right. Well, a couple things come to mind. The first piece is, if they don't mind having the radio on, have your child relax on a bed and listen to the radio or something. It still is media, but at least they're not watching a screen, and they can lay back and relax. Another piece is starting family hikes, family walks, doing something where they're brought into, outside, into the outside world. And at first they might not like it because that's not what they're used to. But if they start to do this on a consistent basis with their family, they're going to eventually start to feel the positive pieces from it. It's going to feel more nurturing to them. They're going to notice how they do feel good when they're done. And over time, if they're given the time where they're made to do this initially, right? Brought into this situation, they're going to want to seek that out at some point. I can't say if it's going to happen after a week or a month or 2 years, but it will happen when they start to associate outside with feeling good. It'll be easier for them to move in that direction. The other piece is, it's a matter of, and this is something I learned along the way, it's exercising our right to say no and create boundaries for our kids. If we just always say that's okay, then they think that's okay. And of course, if we say no thank you to the television after therapy, again, they might not like it, but if that's the rule that we set, then they will eventually need to support that rule, and they will eventually find other things to occupy themselves. I remember when we first turned the television off for our kids, because they used to watch it when they were younger, and then when it came to my awareness to do this differently and we turned the television off, they were like, what? What's going on? And then came the magic. I watched them drawing pictures at the counter, playing games with each other, and it's moved in that direction ever since. We have television now, but it was gone for a long time. Yeah, for them anyway. But that's not it any longer. Now it's more balanced.
As I was thinking about, Lisa, like for downtime, what if they color in coloring books, or play with blocks, or play with clay, or painting, like you said, or even wood burning? I remember I used to do that when I was a kid that I liked. Or games like Monopoly. Would you consider that downtime? Doing something like that? Yeah.
Coloring's
So
very
things, all that, and it's
relaxing.
relaxing for them to do that. I mean, I just sit, lay down on the floor with it with my friend next to me. We'd talk, and we'd do this, and then sometimes we'd fall asleep because it was so relaxing and nice.
Yeah, and that's right. Any of those activities, doing them on their own is wonderful. And if you add yourself or another person to the equation, it's more inviting for them. So if mom or dad or a brother or somebody can take the time after that therapy, after whatever it is that that child did that they feel like they want their child to have some relaxation from, and you have this other person doing this thing with them quietly, something quiet and calm, it becomes very inviting and very nice. Yeah. Yep. And it's not TV.
Like family game time. Family game time that used to be a long time ago, and I don't know how many people have time to do that
We
now.
had
But
we didn't always though.
It feels like we're really going back to those good
The way it
old
used to be,
natural days.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember when my kids were young, supper time was our favorite time of day. They all had to be at supper at 6 o'clock, and we'd sit there and we'd all, okay, what was your day like today? What was your day like today? And then we'd all start talking. We'd talk and we'd laugh and get so silly and have a good time. It was a great time of day to do that. A great time for the children and for us to be together and do all that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with children wanting to get involved in all these activities, parents working late, the way things are today, they don't do so much of that anymore. And it's tough. But if they have a problem like that with a child, they've got to make changes, right? Got to make changes.
Yes, I've heard the word balance come up several times in your conversation.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It's that balance.
Right.
How to find that balance between the perks of today and the technology of today, and still being grounded and whole and getting back to nature. Right. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I remember talking to a stranger, so to speak. I forget where I was. We had to wait somewhere. Excuse me. And he said, I was talking about technology and how everything is so fast today. And he said, yeah, I lost my cell phone. He said, I was going crazy with that. I couldn't find it, couldn't I? I said, yeah, you didn't know what to do, huh? He goes, no. He goes, and then he was quiet, and he goes, but you know what? I said, what? He goes, it was kind of nice. It was kind of peaceful that I wasn't available to anyone, and it was my time. He said, I didn't feel like I had to answer the phone or do this or that. I said, very good. Remember what you're telling me, and he laughs. So I'm telling people out there, do it sometimes. Shut it off, get away from it, and just find that peace, right? And then be with your children, like you said. But if you teach the children that when they're young, and this can apply, we're talking about children, but this can apply to everyone.
Absolutely.
Every single person.
Yeah.
And the more that you're like that, the more the children will be like that. Or the children you're going to have, or whatever, right? So, yeah, this opens up a lot of things, what you're talking about. It's really great. Really, really, really great.
So do you want to ask the next question? Or you want
No,
me
you
to?
go ahead.
Okay. Well, we kind of touched on this a little bit, where we're asking parents to really slow down and relax, which I think is hard for a lot of folks. But the benefits will be so much for your children developmentally. Again, some ideas around that as far as how a family can slow down together and relax.
Yeah, so there's a few things here. Basically, just for the record, I like it when people realize that slowing down is not really just a nice thing to do or a novel thing to do. It's actually imperative to clearing your children of their A.D.H.D symptoms. It's imperative. You know, for the longest time, I chose to follow what I refer to as that supermom mindset and run around pleasing my kids, doing everything I could to help them, to help other people. And this is what I see, you know, it wasn't exclusive to me. This is what you see usually. It's the norm to see that supermom mindset in action. And what happens with this is when you follow this, you are actually on a path to guarantee that you won't heal your kids. As much as it helps you to bring them to this therapy and do that and do this and do that, it's really a pattern, it's a path rather, that will get you stuck. And that's what happened for me. When I was healing my sons, moving forward, feeling like I was making a lot of progress, and I was moving at 150 miles an hour to do this holistic thing and that holistic thing and everything else I could think of, I reached a plateau in their thinking, and in their healing. And when I reached that plateau, I felt like we're stuck. What's going on? We were doing so well. Why are we stuck now? And that's when I needed to turn inward and look at myself. I was stuck in that supermom mindset. And that wasn't helping me to heal them. When I stepped out of this supermom mindset and I stepped into the space of what I refer to as the help heal mindset, which I write about in my book, the help heal mindset is what helped me to start to place more emphasis on myself and slowing down and making myself a priority. Because when somebody's in that supermom mindset, here's what it looks like. They are trying to do everything they can to help their kids. They are trying to help maybe their community, their school community, the greater community, whatever the case might be. They are all about helping others, doing everything they can. The problem is that they end up tired, right? Really worn out, tired. Beyond being worn out and tired, they're frustrated. They feel like nobody in the family really appreciates them. They start to grow resentful of their spouse or their kids or whomever. Even if it's not in the forefront of their minds, it's in the back of their minds, right? Because they're doing so gosh darn much. And remember, this is the path I was on for the longest time, so I know this well. So what happens? So now, there's frustration, anger, there's even, mood swings that start to appear because, there's a lot going on and now their body's in balance. They start to reach for food for comfort, so weight gain is happening because of, that connection and not speaking what they feel but looking to the food for comfort. Then you start to see, their health starts to falter and their relationships, with their spouse tend to not be so strong and they become shaky. Why? Because all the attention was on the kids and everybody else, right? And everything else, being that supermom. So supermom mindset, it looks good on the outside. This person looks like they're getting a lot accomplished, but it won't heal your kids. So there needs to be a movement in the direction of the help heal mindset, and that is making yourself a priority, learning to slow down and prioritize yourself. And this isn't, again, a novel thing. This is a way of respecting yourself, So what I notice also with women who follow the supermom mindset, what happens? They're stressed, right? So when they're stressed and they're with their kids, that stressful energy, that tight, contracted, bouncing energy that they have going on in them is now shared with their kids. Their kids feel that energy and now they're bouncing and their behaviors are exacerbated, right? Or if something little happens and a mom is in the midst of trying to do 20 things or even one thing but feeling like she has 20 things to do, well, what does she do? There's a big chance that she's going to overreact to whatever her child did, right? So what happens from there? That child's feeling confused and mixed up and not very good about themselves, and that's not helping their symptoms either. And then the mom feels guilty and goes for food later, right? There's this whole pattern that keeps going. So it's like, okay, time to end that, cut the cords with that, and move forward with a help heal mindset. So
that whole scenario you just described, that follows that universal energy, correct? The universal law of
that's
like attracts.
a piece of that, yeah.
Like attracts like.
Yep.
When the mother
Yep.
gets frazzled, the kid feels it
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Yep, absolutely. And even if somebody doesn't understand that, you can just see it, right? All parents, I think, can see when they're like this, their kids start to get like this, or start to act up. They'll say, why does he act up more when I'm so upset? Well, there's that energy, right? So, yeah. So the way people can start to slow down more, some of the things that they can start to do, I just usually initially make easy, gentle suggestions. So one of those things would be to do 5-minute meditations. So that doesn't mean you have to sit there and om, for 5 minutes. What I say to people is, schedule 5 extra minutes in your day, like maybe you're going to drive somewhere to the grocery store to pick up your kids from school, wherever it is, arrive 5 minutes early. Sit in your car, turn off your car, close your eyes, and pay attention to your breathing for 5 minutes. Set the timer. And just close your eyes and pay attention to your breathing. That's it. That's your 5-minute meditation. That resets your biostat. That resets your body so that as you move forward, you're feeling calmer now. You're in a better place. Your mind's in a better place. Your interactions with your kids are going to be in a way that you feel more aligned with and you feel better about, right? Which supports them and their symptoms beginning to level out. Something else you can do would be to do some deep breathing for 5 minutes while you're driving somewhere. I do this all the time. You just drive in your car, kids are in the back seat, whomever is in the back seat, you're driving, and again, just look at the clock. Okay, it's 12:25. At 12:30, I'm going to stop this deep breathing. 12:25, here we go. And as you're driving, you just inhale, inhale, inhale till your belly's extended like a beach ball as much as you can, right? And then you hold it for a moment or two, and then you exhale and really try to exhale all of it, so that you feel like your stomach is like stuck to your spine. And then you do that for 5 minutes, just big inhales and big exhales. Whew. When you're done, you feel more relaxed. Again, there's that relaxed self of yours appearing. And now you have a different energy, a different interaction with your kids, right? And you feel better about yourself, which is huge, right?
This is all really, really excellent advice.
Yeah,
it
good.
really is.
Good.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
easy. I think easy
Yeah.
to try to
Yes, definitely,
incorporate.
definitely.
Right.
We got about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, too, when you were a child, were you able to have that imagination? Were you able to do the things that you're talking about now? So could you draw on that as an adult? Could you draw on that as a child? Or did you learn it all as you got older?
The imagination piece?
Yeah, the imagination, the playing, the downtime, the different things.
Yeah.
Like your childhood. What was that like? And could you draw on that now? Do you draw on that now? Or did you have to kind of like relearn everything?
Well, the interesting thing is I did have a childhood where I spent a lot of time playing outside, a lot of time imagining things, a lot. That was probably almost all of my childhood was imagining things, out in the woods, pretending I could talk to the animals, yada, yada.
Right,
so
right.
I did that. As an adult, I feel like I had to relearn it, honestly.
Really?
It was there, but it was forgotten. So it wasn't until I became an adult and started to need to find new ways to support my kids that these ideas came up. And honestly, some of them didn't even come into my own mind from me. They came from reading, from watching other people, from hearing new philosophies and ideas. And then it was oh yeah, that's right moment, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So really relearning what I used to live.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even if you didn't have it as a child, you could still learn it anew by, like you said,
Absolutely.
reading. Open your mind. Oh, who has time to read? Well, you better make time if you want to make changes, right?
Or listen to a CD in the car if you have time to read.
A nice CD, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
CD, like a book on CD
on
type of
tape,
thing.
yeah.
And inspiring or a coach you love or
beautiful,
something. Yeah.
CD
Yeah.
music, nice soft music. I never would listen to commercials. I hate the radio. I don't turn on the I hate commercials on television. I mute them if I'm watching something. It just I don't know. It makes me nervous to hear all that. Them trying to push products and things. So yeah, nice, quiet things like that. The music, the book tapes. Exactly. There, you can always make time, right?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, but you decide, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Decide your reality.
Yep. Yep.
Lots of good information.
Yeah, this was
Good.
excellent.
Very practical.
We got about 2 more minutes. Is there
Okay.
anything, last things you'd like to say, or you, Lisa?
I had kind of an observation. I noticed that you use the word heal. You've healed your sons, where sometimes I hear people say they talk about they've cured their children. Is there a reason why heal has...
Healed just feels right to me. They feel healed. Cured feels different. I don't know. It feels like there was something wrong with them when there was never anything wrong with them.
Good point.
Just helped. They were always whole. I just helped to heal them so that we removed sort of the exterior stuff that was fogging up their bodies and their brains. Cleared that so that now they're healed. Just a
And
personal
whole.
choice. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
That's really great.
Yeah. So in terms of anything I would like to share, just a reminder to people that if there's more that they would like to connect with in terms of on this topic, receiving future tips. I send out bi-monthly tips to people, giving information, what else they can do to help their kids, to help themselves, to clear from ADHD and autism, but ultimately help their kids live an easier, better life. There's a free audio that I will have available that they can download if they go to IHealedMySons.com. And my book, as you mentioned, will be available in February. So if they get onto my subscriber list, they will be one of the first to hear about when that's available.
So they just go to your website, right?
Right.
And all the information's there. And when you send out things, you email things to people, right?
That's exactly.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So then, we're going to give that information in just a few minutes,
Great. Thank you.
So any last little bitty thing?
It's
Any last
possible,
little
right?
Put you on the
itty bitty
spot.
thing?
It's
Yeah, no,
all-
not
it's
at all. It's all
possible.
good. There's always more to share, but the idea is that this is possible. It is, the potential exists for families, for their kids to clear from their ADHD and autism, and the potential exists for their kids to thrive, to make friends, to do well in school, to do whatever they want in life, to have a better life. That exists, and to not give up hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful.
It's time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
It went really fast. Great information. We're going to give your information out now for the audience.
Okay.
To contact Andrea, you can reach her on her website through IHealedMySons.com or by telephone at 203-364-9608.
Okay. To learn more information about this show or any of our past shows, please contact us at healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com. Or to reach me, Rosemary Lachance, the phone number is 203-627-7966, and my website is www.rosemarylachance.com. And to reach Lisa?
You can try me at 203-804-0024 or through my website at theonejoy.com. We are also on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box.
Okay, the quote for tonight is, "You do not need to know precisely what is happening or exactly where it is all going. What you need is to recognize the possibilities and challenges offered by the present moment and to embrace them with courage, faith, and hope." And that's by Thomas Merton. Okay, well, thank you. I think I'm going to reach you now.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
It was
you.
wonderful.
Thank you, Lisa.
It was a great show.
Thank
All
you.
right. Good night.
Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.